Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our show tonight. Folks, we have a lot to talk about. I'm first going to start off with talking about what happened in Myanmar Sunday during the day, or Saturday, actually Saturday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning, and the earthquake damage continues, as you might expect. Now, folks, it's very dangerous there. The area is very dangerous, and we need to say that. We cannot just get by saying, "Oh, it's okay. Oh, it's okay." It's not okay. It won't be okay for a very long period of time, at least. And I'm talking at least. What is going on there is very dangerous. Okay? Again, we have the military in control of Myanmar. We have the rebels, the citizenry of the country trying to reestablish control over the military. And right now, up until this point in time, the citizens had reestablished control, but not complete control. And with the military very well armed, it's highly likely that there's going to continue to be a lot of problems over there. Very highly likely that there's going to be a lot of problems over there. Right now, there's a ceasefire. Both the military and the citizen people have come to an agreement that there's a ceasefire. Why? Because there's been a major earthquake. A lot of property's been destroyed, people's lives have been destroyed, and not just that. Absolutely not just that. But the military people have also lost control of the situation. With everything going on, the military have lost complete control of what's going on. And they're not going to reestablish control, at least for a long period of time. Now, please, folks, before we get started here, please give us a thumbs up if you like this program and want it to continue. Also, don't expect to get out of this program after just only 2 or 3 minutes. Please stick around for the whole broadcast. Please stick around for the whole broadcast. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything out of it. And it might as well not even be here. We need to have people sticking around for the whole broadcast. It's necessary. It's very necessary. Stick around for the whole broadcast and find out what we have for you. And I'm telling you that for a reason. I'm telling you that for a very good reason. We have a lot of information to give you. Okay? Please stay here and watch it. The longer you're here and the better numbers we have, the more people watching it, the better off this program will be, and the better off this channel would be as well. Also, once you're here, check and make sure you're subscribed to this channel. If you're not subscribed, resubscribe. Okay? If you're here and you're normally subscribed and YouTube has somehow unsubscribed you, which they do a lot, resubscribe this channel. And when you do that, there's a little bell icon. Click on that little bell icon. There will be a drop-down menu of 3 items come up after that. Click on the word ALL. That should get you notified when we come on the air today and in the future. Okay? Let's start off and talk about Myanmar, though. Okay? There's a lot of stuff going on. This is a video that I have found that I wanted to play for you, showing what's going on in Myanmar today.
Hello. Rescue workers in Myanmar's quake-hit capital pulled this man alive from the rubble after over 40 hours trapped in the wreckage of a 3-story building. He was miraculously without major injuries and is in a stable condition. While this man was lucky, many more are feared still trapped across the country, and the death toll from Friday's 7.7 magnitude quake, one of Myanmar's strongest in a century, continued to rise. The military government said on Sunday more than 1,700 people had been killed, with over 3,000 injured and hundreds still missing. Experts have estimated the death toll could top 10,000 and losses could exceed the country's annual economic output. Russian rescue teams touched down in the capital Naypyidaw, bringing with them a mobile hospital before heading to hard-hit Mandalay near the epicenter of the quake. Eyewitness footage showed the extensive damage in Mandalay. Reuters was able to verify the location and date of the video. Aid workers and residents said scores of people there were feared trapped under collapsed buildings, and most could not be reached or pulled out without heavy machinery. Thailand, India and China were among Myanmar's neighbours that have also sent relief materials and teams, along with aid and personnel from Malaysia and Singapore. Critical infrastructure, including bridges, highways, airports and railways across the country, lie damaged, slowing humanitarian efforts. In some areas near the epicentre, residents told Reuters that government assistance was scarce, leaving people to fend for themselves. The devastation piles more misery on Myanmar, already in chaos from a civil war that grew out of a nationwide uprising after a 2021 military coup ousted the elected government. The opposition National Unity Government, which includes remnants of the previous administration, said anti-junta militias under its command would pause all offensive military actions for 2 weeks from Sunday. In neighbouring Thailand, authorities said dozens of people remained trapped under the debris of a collapsed Bangkok skyscraper that was under construction when the quake hit. Rescue workers used drones and sniffer dogs to hunt for survivors, but only bodies had been retrieved so far. Some relatives and friends of the missing and trapped construction workers broke down as they waited for news.
It's really sad. This is exactly what I expected to see. People distressed because of their loved ones either trapped or found deceased. This is exactly what we're going to see more of, unfortunately. My heart aches for this woman. All of our hearts must ache for this woman. She may have lost her mate, she may have lost her entire family. There are dozens of people. They originally thought there would only be about 18 people that were in the building at the time, because this was a new building under construction. It was just about to be finished. They thought only 18 people. Now there's dozens of people that they said are missing in that building in Thailand, in Bangkok, Thailand. Unreal. It's not just that. It's not just that. Let me show you another picture here. I thought I already had it here. I don't. Let me bring it up for you. This is terrible, guys. This is absolutely astounding. Who would have known? Linda L., thank you for that $50 super chat. God bless you for that. I'm going to give you an EMA sticker there for it. I'm also going to give you a thumbs up. Thank you so much, Linda. We definitely appreciate that. God bless you for that. Hurricane Heather says she was here for last night's show as well. I appreciate that ever so much. Last night's show delved into Myanmar even more. And we're going there right now. We're going there right now. Folks, it's bad. It's very, very bad. It's not going to get any better. It really is not going to get any better. There's no way it could get better right now. It's not going to be better for many, many years. Many, many years. This is the present condition of Myanmar. Homes all over the area, and also all over the capital of Myanmar as well, and down into Bangkok, Thailand, and other communities. This is what it looks like. This is exactly what it looks like. It's bad. It's bad. Now, let me talk to you for a few minutes about what is exactly going on. Mandalay is where the epicenter of this earthquake was. It's one of the worst affected cities and the country's second largest, with more than 1.7 million people there. People are now camped out in the streets on their third successive night. The city's 1,000-bed general hospital has been evacuated, with hundreds of patients being taken outside. Treated outside. Okay? This is normally what happens when we have a disaster, except sometimes when the hospitals are intact, we keep the people that have happened, that got hurt when the incident happened outside. We make makeshift hospitals outside. In this case, the hospital itself is badly damaged. The situation is so dire that it's hard to express what's happening. Azullah Teen Monastery in Mandalay, 270 monks are taking a religious exam at the time the earthquake struck. Rescue workers at the scene said 70 had been able to escape, but 50 had been found dead, and 150 are still unaccounted for. 150 monks still unaccounted for. That's bad. The toll from Myanmar's earthquake has continued to rise as foreign rescue teams and aid rushed into the impoverished country, where hospitals were overwhelmed and some communities scrambled to mount rescue efforts with limited resources. The limited resources is even worse now. They need blood. They need medical supplies like you wouldn't believe. This was an 8.7 magnitude earthquake. Yes, the USGS said it was a 7.7, but Saturday and again yesterday, I showed you evidence that this was a much larger earthquake, even upwards of a 9.0. It's the largest and strongest quake in a century, over 100 years, that jolted this war-torn Southeast Asian nation on Friday night, Saturday morning, leaving 1,700 people dead, at least. That number is rising on an hourly basis. Over 3,400 people hurt, injured, and over 300 missing as of yesterday. That number is also climbing. The junta chief, Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, warned that the number of fatalities could rise. The state media reported 3 days after he made a rare call for international assistance. All the powers that be are making the call for international assistance. Again, China and Russia have sent plane loads of people in. India, China, and Thailand are among Myanmar's neighbors. They've sent relief, and also they have received damage from this quake as well. Residents of Singapore have also sent people over. Residents in the cities of Mandalay and Sagaing reported that international aid has not arrived as concerns grew about a shortage of food, electricity, and water. The electricity got knocked down on Friday. They have limited amount of generators providing power at the hospitals and various other locations where the power is needed. The destruction has been extensive. Humanitarian needs are growing by the hour. The International Freedom of Red Cross and the Red Crescent Society said in a statement, the U.S. has pledged $2 million in aid through the Myanmar-based humanitarian assistance organizations. And they said that the emergency rescue team is on their way. The emergency rescue team from the U.S. is on their way over there. Devastation has piled on misery in Myanmar. Myanmar was a very poor town, even though you see some very nice homes that were destroyed. The devastation has piled more misery on Myanmar, already in chaos from the civil war that grew out of a nationwide uprising after 2021 military coup ousted the elected government of Nobel Peace Prize laureate Aung San Suu. Critical infrastructure, including bridges, highways, and airports and railways, lay under ruins across the entire country. The damage and destruction has been very extensive. Humanitarian aid, like I said, the needs are growing by the hour. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Society is already there on scene, and they're doing the best that they can. No aid, no rescue workers. Hospitals in parts of central and northwestern Myanmar, including the second biggest city, Mandalay, the capital of Naypyidaw, and yes, I know I butchered the name, Naypyidaw, were struggling to cope with the influx of injured people. Unreal. It's very sad. Ashen Pawara, a monk living in Mandalay, said concrete buildings have become unsafe, forcing people to sleep on the streets and the open ground. Hospital buildings have collapsed in the earthquake, leaving patients lying on the ground without proper beds. I haven't seen anyone receiving international aid yet, but local self-help groups are donating food, water, and snacks. The Chinese embassy in Myanmar said a Chinese rescue team had freed a woman who had been trapped for about 60 hours inside the Great Wall Hotel in Mandalay. The quake had also shaken parts of neighboring Thailand, bringing down an under construction building that we talked about, a huge skyscraper, killing at least 18 people and dozens of others buried inside the rubble. At least 76 people remain trapped under that debris. 76 people remain trapped. Rescue operations are continuing for the third day, using drones and sniffer dogs to hunt for survivors. Myanmar's opposition National Unity government, which includes remnants of the previous administration, said the anti-junta militias under its command would pause all offensive military actions for 2 weeks from Sunday. The devastation in some areas of Upper Myanmar, such as the town of Saigang, near the quake's epicenter, was extensive. What we're seeing here is widespread destruction. Many buildings have collapsed into the ground. Adding this, much of the town has been without electricity since the disaster hit. No drinking water as well. No power, no drinking water, no nothing. Food is running out. We have received no aid and no rescue workers are in sight. Sections of a major bridge that we talked about Saturday and yesterday that was connecting Saigang to nearby Mandalay collapsed. It was a 109-year-old bridge. It has collapsed. The spans of the colonial area structure were submerged in the Irrawaddy River. With bridges destroyed, even aid from Mandalay is struggling to get through. The food and medicine are still unavailable. It's bad. It's very bad. Now, they're asking also for doctors. Those of you who are watching this program, if you are a doctor or a nurse, find out if you can make a flight into Mandalay. They need their help. We also need people to send aid over there. Food, water, and medicines. Food, water, and medicines. If you know doctors, if you know humanitarian aid organizations, and see if they can help, have them send aid, water, food, and other people over there to help out. Rescue workers are definitely needed over here. Does anybody have any questions about anything we talked about? I wanted to make sure we talked about it first and foremost because I've been told to put this out. This is not just my doing. I've been asked to spread this information. It's bad. It's very bad. And it's probably going to get a lot worse. Many of these places that you see right here are probably going to end up being bulldozed. Once they don't see anybody in there, those buildings are not safe to even be there, and they will be bulldozed. A lot of parts of Mandalay, which was a wonderful, thriving city, are probably going to get bulldozed. 1.5 million people living in that area are now without anything. Totally without anything. Any questions? Any questions? If you know of anything that we can do to help, please send me an email. Right below this video today in the top part of our program description, you're going to find a way to join us here as members of our EMA family here on YouTube. There's a link there, you can do that. Also right below that is our email address. If you know people that might be able to help, send me an email and contact information so I can please contact them. Okay? I'm willing to do that. This is what I've always done. When there's a disaster, I'm there helping and assisting getting information together so we can solve the disaster and come to the aid of the people. That's my job. That's what I've been doing. Jewish Impulse says, Tonga, what happened there? Nothing's happened in Tonga for a while. Nothing's happened in Tonga for a while. Yesterday there was a 7.1 earthquake there. It was offshore from Pangai, Tonga. Nothing's there. Okay? Only a tiny tsunami about 3 inches hit that island. That was, for the most part, the Pacific Ocean waters absorbed the shockwave of that 7.1 earthquake. Major earthquake. The ocean waters absorbed the shockwaves of that earthquake. Only 27 people were even reporting any shaking. Only 27 people reported any shaking. Now, a lot of people got things mixed up because they thought that the Hunga Tonga Hapai volcano had erupted again. It has not. The Hunga Tonga Hapai volcano has not erupted again. It erupted 3.5 years ago, and erupted with such force, went up 87,000 feet high into the stratosphere, and the ash from that volcanic eruption circled the Earth for 3 times. But this has nothing to do with the volcano. Yesterday's 7.1 earthquake that happened down there just off the coast of Pangai, Tonga, was just that, an earthquake. Again, the seismic energy waves were absorbed by the Pacific Ocean. And as I said, only 27 people even reported shaking over in Pangai, Tonga. Okay? Cowboy Roy Rogers is here in the chat. I'm going to echo what he said here. He said, please continue to pray for people all over. All over. All the different disasters that are being hit all over the world, everybody's there needing help. There'll be more to come. There'll be more disasters hitting all over the world. It's going to happen. I promise you, just like Cowboy Roy Rogers said, it's going to happen. It's going to continue. And we need to pray to God for help. We need to prepare ourselves as well. We need to prepare ourselves. Last Friday, we had a total of about 600 people that saw our broadcast about emergency preparedness. Folks, we need a lot more than that. We need thousands of people watching this broadcast. If you like what you're hearing on this broadcast, share it with your family, your extended family, your friends and neighborhood, around the neighborhood. Share it everywhere. The people you socialize with on social media, share it there. Share it with the people you work with. They need to hear this as well. Everybody needs to hear this. Everybody needs to prepare. Please subscribe to this channel. It's very important. Linda Covington is also saying here in the chat, watch out for scams. They're everywhere. You're absolutely right. They are everywhere. Watch out for scams. Don't get caught up in a scam. Watch your emails. Watch your text messages. It's so easy to click on a text message that is bad. Could cause your phone to go down or anything else. Don't get caught up in that. Now, Renee Steppe is also talking about another round of storms crossing the South Carolina, Tennessee, and North Carolina borders. That's happening as we speak. Earlier this afternoon, it started raining here. The rain has quit for now, but there's more storms coming from Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. All those storms are hitting the Carolinas and Virginia right now. Right now. There's a possibility of thunderstorms and tornadoes tonight. Get prepared. Know what's going on. Please know what's going on. There's more storms coming across the United States as we speak as well. Know what's going on. Be prepared at all times. On Friday this coming week, we'll have another emergency preparedness session. We are willing to talk about almost anything emergency preparedness related. If you want us to talk about anything specific, send me an email. rltnspdema at gmail.com. Also, our email address is scrolling across the bottom of your screen, too. Okay? Our address where you can send us cards and letters, even donations, is 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. We'd appreciate that. You can also send us donations over to PayPal. Down in the top of the program description tonight, we have 2 PayPal locations and also a Venmo location where you can send us donations, which we would greatly appreciate it. It takes a lot of money to produce this program every day. We pay hundreds of dollars a month to keep this program on the air. And if you can help us, we appreciate that. Okay? We appreciate that so much. Laura Marie is here. Her husband, John, has sent donations last month. We appreciate that so much. We also got our donation from Donna and Gregory Howard. We appreciate that so much over on PayPal last night. God bless you all for doing that. God bless you all for doing that. Helps keep this program on the air. My buddy Don Patoga's here in the chat. He's saying I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball at all. I have this. This is an 8 ball if you've seen it before. This is not a crystal ball at all. S. Nort sent me this sometime last year. Okay? Sent me this sometime last year. It's great, but it's not a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen from day to day, but I have a good idea because I've been watching everything going on so I can give you the information about that. And I verify everything every day that I tell you. I verify it and re-verify it because I don't want anything to fall through the cracks. Your lives are too valuable. Your lives and lives of your family are too valuable for anything to fall through the cracks. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Okay. If you don't have any other questions, I'm going to talk about earthquakes now. I'm going to go up into the Pacific Northwest tonight. The information I'm going to give you comes from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. I spent many hours putting this information together today. It's the latest information about earthquakes at the volcanoes for the most part. For the most part. This is Mount Baker here. This seismograph here comes from Mount Baker. The seismograph is a machine. The readout, the graph you see here is called a seismogram. Seismogram. What you're seeing here is a lot of tremors that are happening at Mount Baker. Notice that the complete graph is completely colored. Completely colored. That's because there was so much activity. More activity, the greater chance is that the seismogram will be completely filled in. It's almost like a kid with a Crayola coloring it in. When you see specks of white beneath the colors, that means the seismic events were hitting off and on. That's not the case here. There's a lot of seismic events happening at Mount Baker. Earthquakes and tremors also at Mount Baker. Now, let me show you another one here. Again, this comes from Mount Baker. You're kidding me. Okay, just a second, guys. Just a second, there's something that we missed here. Over on the north side of Mount Baker, there's a ski resort called Shucksan, S-H-U-K-S-A-N. Over at Shucksan, there is a seismograph there. The seismograph is pulling information for all of us to see. A lot of information. I'm going to show you now a seismogram coming from Mount Baker. The seismogram is showing you all the magma that is hitting at Mount Baker today. It's overwhelming. Mount Baker seems like a volcano that doesn't even have anything going on. Most of the time, the USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network don't show us much of anything. That's because they either deleted the information or erased it. Okay? But today, We've got all the information necessary to know what's going on. We've got all kinds of information here. Just a second here. All right. Just a second here. For some reason it didn't go to my database here. I'm going to try to figure out why. Okay, I finally got it. Whenever we see wavy lines like this is an example, guys. This is a very good example of what's going on at Mount Baker. The wavy lines here represent a large amount of magma going into the Mount Baker volcano. Mount Baker volcano is just south of the Canadian border in Washington state. The wavy lines here are an example of what's actually happening. A lot of magma going on here. Okay? This is happening on a daily basis. This represents what's happening, guys. Okay? A lot of stuff going on here. Let's go back to the main seismogram. Look at the main part here that's really moving here. Let me back up here. I'm going to enlarge this so you can truly see what's happening here. Look at what is going on here, where the big, huge amount of waves are going on here. Okay? It's between 2 a.m. this morning and 2:30 p.m. this afternoon. That's where the main part of the seismic waves are happening, meaning magma coming into Mount Baker. Let's go back to the other seismograph here. Look at that. It proves it. It proves it. A lot of magma coming into this magma chamber here. Okay? Causing earthquake tremors here. This is what's happening on Mount Baker. Every day is like this. Regardless of what the agency says, this is what happens every day. Every day. Let's go down to Glacier Peak now. Glacier Peak is a volcano that is 40 miles southwest of Mount Baker. Look at this. This is the VLF wave picture we have here. This is what's going on at Mount Baker as we speak. Look at all that magma here. Look at all that magma. If I showed you the main seismogram, you would be blown away because the agency has deleted the information. The agency has deleted all the information about what's going on at Glacier Peak. But you can see that the magma is coming into the volcano last night and this morning. Last night into this morning. And yet, the agency wants us to believe that nothing's going on. This is Glacier Peak. Let's move down to Mount Rainier now. I want to show you what's going on at Mount Rainier. I'm going to take you down to Mount Rainier Emerald Ridge here. Again, this seismogram shows all the magma coming into Mount Rainier right now. Actually, the top of this is yesterday evening after 5 p.m. Between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. All that magma, a ton of magma. And yet, the agency shows nothing. The main seismogram shows nothing. That's why I like to show this. I want to make sure everybody sees what's actually going on, because the agency would have us believe that nothing is happening. Mount Rainier, for all intents and purposes, is getting ready to erupt. Mount Rainier is getting ready to erupt, guys. Regardless of what USBS wants us to know, or wants us to see, or what the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network wants to show us, Mount Rainier is getting ready to erupt. Let me show you another seismogram here at Mount Rainier. This is Camp Sherman here. This is Camp Sherman. Each and every line here that you see up at the top, this is called magma pulse activity here, where we have thicker lines and thinner lines. Thicker lines represent more magma coming into the magma chamber, and thinner lines, less magma coming into the magma chamber here. This is Camp Sherman. Up at the top after 5 p.m. until just after 10 p.m. last night. We had a lot of magma, right? We surely did. This shows us some magma coming into the magma chamber. But again, the agency has doctored this seismogram. The agency has doctored this seismogram. Before I go any further, look further down to the center right-hand side here. See that long blue line? That is a 3.4 earthquake. That is a 3.4 earthquake that happened early this morning. About 4:43 a.m. this morning. 3.4 earthquake here. Again, Mount Rainier is getting ready to erupt, and Mount Rainier has these kind of earthquakes, and even larger earthquakes than that, every day. Now let's go back up to the top part of this seismogram here. See that red line you see here, up here? That, folks, is a magma churn signal. That magma churn signal happens when we have superheated magma inside the volcano. What happens there? Okay, each line here is, this magma churn signal is supposed to represent 23 lines. It isn't. I've already counted the number of lines here. It's 8 lines high, meaning the agency, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, has played with this seismogram. They're only showing us 30% of real world. 30% of real world. That earthquake that I just showed you is at least a 3.4 earthquake. Now what they're showing us is a 3.4 here. However, this might even be larger than that. There are reports coming from people around Mount Rainier that this earthquake may have been larger than that. Okay? There are reports from Mount Rainier area here that this earthquake may have been larger than a 3.4 small quake. But that's what we're showing us. The seismogram here has been shrunk down to only represent 30% of what really happened. Notice we have other tremors and earthquakes happening here. Longer vertical lines here are 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes. You can see what I'm talking about. Over here at the bottom left-hand side, after 11:15 a.m. on the left side on the right, red line there. That is a 2.4, 2.5 earthquakes. Shorter lines, very, very short lines, are just tremors. Yes, we do have some 2.0 earthquake activity as well. If you see a vertical line that has a dot in the middle of it, that is an earthquake. If you see a vertical dot or vertical line with no dot, that is a steam signal. Vertical lines without dots in the middle are steam signals. Yes, Mount Rainier is also steaming. Mount Rainier is also steaming. Let's move to the next seismogram I want to show you here. The next one I want to show you is coming from Camp Muir. Camp Sherman is over on the north side top of the volcano. Camp Sherman is over on the south upper side of the volcano here. This is Camp Muir here. Again, this is over on the upper south side of Mount Rainier. Look what we're showing you here. Okay, up at the top here, you see 1700? 1700 is 5 p.m. yesterday afternoon. Okay, what do we see on the blue line just after 1800? The blue line represents 1830, which is 6:30 p.m. Over here towards the left center here, on that same blue line, this is a 2.4 earthquake. A 2.4 earthquake here. Let's go back down here to the blue line here on the right hand side. You can see on the left hand side this blue line is 4:30 p.m. or 4:30 a.m. this morning. Over here, this is 4:43 a.m. here. Again, we're showing a 3.5 earthquake here. 3.4, 3.5 earthquake right here at Camp Muir. Multiple earthquakes are hitting Mount Rainier. Multiple earthquakes are hitting Mount Rainier. That's why we're seeing what we're seeing here. That's why we have multiple seismographs monitoring this mountain. Typically we see 10 to 11 seismographs around each volcano. Not necessarily, but typically. Mount Glacier Peak is out of the ordinary. There is only one seismograph mounted that are monitoring activity at Glacier Peak. Only one seismograph is monitoring activity at Glacier Peak. They were supposed to put up 5 more. The environmentalists at Glacier Peak don't want them to go up. They don't want the USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network scientists going up and installing seismographs on the mountain. Why? Because it might interfere with marmots. They think it's going to affect marmots that live on the mountain. So they don't want anybody to go up and put any more seismographs on the mountain. Yet this is a volcano. This is the volcano. When we had the largest earthquake in history some 200 years ago, 1702 years ago, there was a mariner out to sea. He saw what happened after the earthquake hit. He said that either Glacier Peak or Mount Rainier were erupting. Either Glacier Peak or Mount Rainier were erupting. Back then we did not have any seismographs or any kind of equipment on any of the volcanoes. Today we do. But again, the environmentalists don't want us putting any more seismographs on Glacier Peak because we might interfere with the marmots. It's highly unintelligible. We have hiking crews on this mountain all day long. Every day. Hikers all over this mountain, campers, Boy Scouts, and everything else. But they don't want us to put up any seismographs on this mountain. That's insane. That's insane. Canadian Patriots here in the chat. Welcome, Dave. We appreciate you being here. He says it appears that most of the volcanoes are quite active lately. You're absolutely right, Dave. The volcanoes are very active right now. Very, very active right now. My dear friend Rob is going to a Bible study very shortly. I'm going to see by the time we get off this air if I can attend his Bible study on Zoom. I hope I can. That would be great. Thank you so much, Rob. God bless you for being here. Appreciate it. Demon Catman says you haven't shown Glacier Peak protest picture. I know I haven't. I don't have a picture of the protest picture at Glacier Peak. Demon Catman, if you got it, send it to me. I'd love to see it. And I will show it. I will show it. They don't like us to see anything here. They don't want us to see anything. It's very sad what happens here at Mount Rainier. Unreal. Just unreal. Okay. Damon Catman sends me emails over to my Gmail email box here. Yeah, Dean, if you send that to me, I will show it on the air. Hurricane Edison wants to see that picture as well. Like she said, I didn't hear of a protest at Glacier Peak. That would be cool to see. Because again, the environmentalists don't want scientists on the mountain. What happens when there's a volcanic eruption here? What happens when there's a volcanic eruption? Many times, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network and USGS don't show anything going on. They don't show anything. So when a volcanic eruption happens, nobody's going to know about it, right? They're going to find out about it because other citizens are going to see it. They'll notify the news media, and then all of a sudden it will be frontline news everywhere. But again, the agencies aren't going to tell us about it, are they? Because they don't want anybody to know about it. Why don't they want anybody to know about it? Let me tell you the story again. I've told it several times this last week. I'm going to tell you again. The politicians are behind this. The politicians of the United States don't want anybody to know what's going on. Because they're afraid that if people find out what's going to happen, they're going to move away from the area. They're going to move away from the area to protect themselves and their families. I know I would. Many of you would too. But the politicians are telling the managers of USGS not to say word one about much of anything. They downgrade earthquakes all the time, or they don't tell us what's going on. They don't want anybody to talk about it, so the politicians tell the managers of USGS not to say anything. That's why we don't see much of anything. It's not the everyday worker that works there. The secretaries and other people that work there at the desk have a reason to be there. They're not the reason we don't see information. The politicians tell management, don't talk about it. Why? Because if the people find out, they're going to move. Let's take it locally. If you live around this mountain or live near the ocean where this earthquake is going to happen, I'm talking about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. It's going to generate an earthquake up to 9.0, 10.0 in magnitude. Going to hurt a lot of people. It's also going to unalive a lot of people. So there are people that have already left Washington and Oregon. Already. Guess what? A lot of people there don't know anything because they haven't been told about it. Marfugel. Those of you that watch Marfugel on his shows. Marf went there to Ocean Shores, Washington 2 or 3 years ago. He said he was preparing a documentary on the Cascadia event. He still hasn't shown it. I'm not knocking him, but he still hasn't shown it. He said he was going there to get information. He told all of us, Marv told all of us, that he talked to citizens in Ocean Shores, Washington. He talked to first responders, police, and firemen. They knew nothing about the Cascadia earthquake at all. That's what the USGS wants us to think, like nothing's going on. What about the first responders, the police and firefighters? They're going to have to help evacuate people or rescue people. What about them? Don't you think they ought to know something? I agree, they should. But the agency doesn't want anybody to know about it. so they're not talking about it. When this earthquake happens, it's going to devastate this entire region. Just like Myanmar, it's going to destroy everything in its path. People are wanting to leave now. People already have. But there are people that live around ocean shores and other places that don't know about the Cascadia quake. They don't know that these volcanoes are going to erupt. They don't see anything other than some steam emanating from the volcanoes. That's normal. They feel shaking going on. I've gotten emails from some of you. I've gotten telephone calls from some of you who live here in Washington and Oregon. And you tell me you feel shaking going on. Rightly so. And you are. But again, the agencies are not going to talk about it. They're telling the media, oh, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Many times the media does not. Why? Because the politicians would be out of a job if the people moved away. How's that possible? People that live there move away. They don't patronize the shops. The shops and the stores are going to go out of business. Those people will also move away. If there's nobody living there, nobody shopping there, there's not going to be any tax base, nobody paying taxes. So the cities and counties are not going to have any money either. If the cities and counties are not going to have any money, who's going to fix the roads? Who's going to keep the lights on? If the cities and counties are out of business, who's going to pay the politicians? Nobody. That's why the politicians are telling the USGS not to say anything. They don't want to tell anybody. They want to stay in charge and also keep their jobs no matter what. The politicians are our biggest problems. The politicians are our biggest problems. Unreal. It's very sad. But this is what's happening. And I'm showing you these earthquakes because they're happening. And you have a right to know what's going on. You have every right to know what's going on. Let's continue here. Again, this is Camp Muir at Mount Rainier, on the south side of Mount Rainier. All right. I think I've shown you Emerald Ridge right here. This is Emerald Ridge right here. You see a lot of activity here. Again, the thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the magma chamber. The thinner the lines, less magma here. I showed you the other seismogram showing you a lot of magma coming into this volcano. This seismogram is showing that as well. Between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. yesterday, a lot of magma was coming into the volcano, and less after that. This confirms that. And you can see an earthquake there on the black line after 6 p.m. 1800 hours is, actually this is 9 p.m. 1800 hours is 6 p.m., 5 p.m. is 1700. 1900 hours is 7 p.m. Over here to the right, at approximately 7:04 p.m. last night, here's a 4.5 earthquake that happened. I'm sorry, not 4.5, a 2.5 earthquake that happened here. This is the 2.5 earthquake that happened here. Over down here further to the right on the right-hand side. Let me blow this up to see it. Right here. This earthquake happened after 4:43 a.m. this morning on this blue line. This was a 3.0 earthquake here. 3.0 earthquake here. Mount Rainier is getting ready to erupt. Mount Rainier has seen 3.0, 3.5, and 4.0 earthquakes here every day. Yet if we go over the USGS map, which we want to do right now, let me make this smaller, and let's go over to the USGS map really quick. I want to show you what they're not showing us. Take our banner down. You don't have to see the webcam right now for a minute. This is the USGS map. See a lot of earthquakes happening here. Yes, a lot of earthquakes have occurred today. There's been no major earthquakes happen today, but there have been earthquakes. We can talk about that in a few minutes. Let's go over here to the Pacific Northwest. Right here are the earthquakes in the Pacific Northwest. Right here. Guess what? They're showing activity at Mount Rainier. Right here. This is Mount Rainier. This is Mount Rainier. Guess what? This is a 1.3 tremor. There are a lot of ones here. 1.0, 1.9 are considered to be minor tremors. 2.0 to 2.9 are minor earthquakes. 3.0 to 3.9 are small earthquakes, and 4.0 to 4.9 are moderate earthquakes that they're calling light. There's nothing light about a moderate earthquake, but they're not showing that here. They're showing a measly 1.3 tremor here. And down here on the foothills of Mount Rainier, this is a 0.0. They're saying this is a 0.0 surface quake. 0.0 surface quake, guess what? It's not. This is 4 miles deep. 4 miles deep. It's not a surface quake at all. It's 4 miles deep. Deep inside the magma chamber of this volcano. Let's go over this other one I showed you, this 1.7 or 1.3. This is a tenth of a mile deep. This seismic event, this 1.3 tremor, happened just below the summit of this volcano. This seismic event, 1.3 tremor, happened just below the summit of this volcano. Okay? But they're not showing you any of the other 3.5, 4.0 earthquakes that are happening here at Mount Rainier today. They're not showing anything. Why not? The earthquakes are happening here. Why are they not showing them? Let's go down here to Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens is our next stop on the seismogram. Look at this. Over here to the northeast. Northeast of Mount St. Helens here. This is still in the foothills of Mount St. Helens. This is a 0.5 microquake. A 0.5 microquake. This is also 4 miles deep. 4 miles deep. It's a microquake. But I'm about to show you the seismograms here at Mount St. Helens. There's more than just microquakes and tremors happening here at Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier. I've shown you that at Mount Rainier now. Down here, Mount Hood we'll go to in a few minutes. Down here, they're not showing any activity at Mount Hood, but I'm going to tell you there's a lot of activity happening here at Mount Hood. And the other volcanoes over here in Oregon as well. So let's leave this USGS map for a while, and let's go back to it in a little bit. Okay? Again, this is Mount Rainier, Emerald Ridge. We've shown you a lot of activity here. Yes, it's happened. It's going to continue to happen. It's not going to let up. This happens every day. Every day. They want us to believe that nothing's going on. There is. Let's go over here to Mount St. Helens now. Okay, this is East Dome, Mount St. Helens. There's a seismograph sitting on top of the summit of Mount St. Helens. There are two seismographs sitting up here on the summit of Mount St. Helens. This one is East Dome, Mount St. Helens. Look at the tremors happening here. Look at the tremors happening here. All the time, every day. All the time, every day. Okay? They don't want us to know about it, do they? Heaven knows. What happened last night? What happened here last night? See all these tremors happening here? And you see these thicker lines here. The thicker lines represent more magma coming into the magma chamber here. There are also lines here that are white. That means someone, the seismologist, turned off the seismograph. The seismologist turned off the seismograph. There are periods here, 3 to 5 minute periods where there's no data here. That means someone turned it off, turned off the machine. You see thicker lines and thinner lines. Thicker lines represent more magma coming into the magma chamber. The thinner lines, less magma coming into the magma chamber here. You're also seeing some earthquakes and tremors here. Up at the top, you see a bunch of tremors here. Down here towards the bottom here, you see a red earthquake over in the left center here. Left center here. This happened after 11:15 this morning. On the left-hand side would be 11:15. Here it's a different story. This is 11:22 a.m. this morning. This is a 2.7 earthquake, a 2.7 minor earthquake here. Down at the bottom here, on this red line here, this afternoon. Over on the left-hand side, it will be 2:15. Here's a different story. This is 2:23 p.m. this afternoon. This is a 3.0 earthquake. This is a 3.0 earthquake at 2:24 p.m. this afternoon. Yes, we have seismic activity at Mount St. Helens. Again, they're showing us microquakes, and that's all. Guess what? USGS is wrong. The Pacific Seismic Network is wrong as well. They're lying to us about the activity. Absolutely lying to us about the activity here. Let's go here to September Lobe. September Lobe is another seismograph sitting on top of the summit of Mount St. Helens. Okay, right here. This is the VLF wave chart here. This seismograph has several channels here. I think this is a 6-channel seismograph. This particular channel is showing us magma coming into the magma chamber. If you go over to the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network and you go over here to Mount St. Helens, you'll see SEP, that is September Lobe. You can scroll down from that seismogram. On that seismogram, you can scroll down and see this same channel. BDF CC01. This is the magma coming into the magma chamber. These wavy lines represent magma coming into the magma chamber of this volcano. Where you see heavy-duty lines is a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. The magma puts out these very low-frequency waves. They're generated here on the paper. Yes, this is digital as well. It's not really paper. But if it was paper, you would see it here. We had a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber last night, between 5 and 9 p.m. last night. Yes, the magma calmed down a bit during the nighttime into the early morning hours of this morning. But you can still see a lot of activity this afternoon. Late afternoon this afternoon as well. Late morning this afternoon, down here at the bottom. Mount St. Helens is very active. Don't let anyone tell you that nothing's going on here at Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens is very active. And last night, the USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network are saying that nothing happened here. They scrubbed the seismograms, they scrubbed the data on the USGS map. Heaven forbid they don't talk to us about this. They don't want anybody to know what's happening. Heaven forbid. Mount St. Helens is going to erupt again. It last erupted in 1980, and then a smaller eruption, I believe, was 2003. It's going to erupt again. And it'll erupt again and again and again. I've been telling you and warning you all that Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens are getting ready to erupt. And I'm proving that to you every time I show you these seismograms. It's going to happen. It's literally when. It's not if, but when. I believe I have one more seismogram to show you here at Mount St. Helens here. Hold on a second. Yes, I do. Okay? I've shown you this seismogram because I want to show you all the magma coming into the magma chamber. Let's go over to another seismograph that sits on this mountain, Mount St. Helens. This is Sugar Bowl. This is Sugar Bowl. I just got through showing you this other seismogram to show you what happened last night. So the other seismogram was showing you all that magma last night. This confirms what's going on here. Look at all the activity last night. Look at all that activity last night. Yes, things calmed down during the early morning hours of this morning, and they calmed down this afternoon. But there's still a lot of magma coming into this magma chamber at Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens again and Mount Rainier are getting ready to erupt. Let's move south. I want to take you now to Mount Hood. Okay, let's go down to Mount Hood. All right. Let me go down and show you Timberline. The Timberline seismograph sits at what they call Government Camp on the southern base of Mount Hood. The southern base of Mount Hood, there's a place called Government Camp. Yes, a lot of Boy Scouts go camping there. There are a lot of hikers that also start hiking up the mountain from here because there's a parking lot where they can leave their cars. Here at Government Camp, there's a seismograph. Look what it's showing you here. Mount Rainier is moving. Mount St. Helens is moving. Mount Hood is also moving. Mount Hood is also moving. Look at the center of this seismograph here. Look at that. After 2300 hours, which is 11 o'clock last night, you can see seismic movement there. Increased in the early morning hours of this morning right there. Look at that. We're having 2.0 earthquakes. We're having a bunch of tremors. We're also having 2.9, 3.0 earthquakes as well. You see that after 5 a.m. this morning. 5:03 a.m. this morning, there's a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. You see a bunch of other tremors and minor earthquakes happening after that on the black line. We come over further here to the right. Okay? Again, this is at 5 This particular earthquake happened at 5:10 a.m. this morning. 5:10 a.m. this morning, a 3.0 earthquake. And prior to that, on the red line above it, would be 4:15 in the morning on the left-hand side, and over here, now we're talking about 4:20 a.m. this morning. Another 3.0 earthquake there. Mount Hood is moving, guys. Mount Hood is moving. And then on the blue line to the right above that, that would be 4. Let me look at this. That would be 4:43 this morning. 4:43 this morning. Another 3.0 earthquake at Mount Hood. But again, we just got through showing you the seismic events happening on the USGS map. They're not showing us. Why not? Don't you think people that live in Oregon deserve to know what's going on here at Mount Hood? They're not talking about it, are they? That's because they don't want you to see this. Many times they even scrub the data off the seismograms so people don't see it. I see it and I show it to you. Many times throughout the past 6 years that we've been on the air. And 3 days on Thursday, we'll have an anniversary of being here on YouTube. 6 years. 6 years being on YouTube on Thursday. That's an awful long time. We've been showing you this data. When we first started showing you this data, there was overwhelming data on every seismogram. Every seismogram we showed you was overwhelming data. Now I show it to you. And they scrub the seismograms. They scrub the seismograms to show not showing you data. Because they know I'm going to do it. They know I'm going to do it. Here they didn't scrub it. We're showing it to you. This is Mount Hood. This is Mount Hood. Timberline seismograph. Let me go up and show you just north, near the top of the volcano. The top of the volcano is called Palmer Lift. It's a ski resort. Palmer Lift Ski Resort here at Mount Rainier. Or not Mount Rainier, Mount Hood. Look what we're showing you here. Talking about scrubbing data here. Look what they didn't show you last night. Nothing after 5 p.m. last night. Nothing. And probably not before that as well. They're hardly showing anything. Just barely showing movement. Folks, they didn't show any kind of data until after 5 a.m. this morning. Then after that, 6:15 this morning, they were showing some data. And then they cut that off. But what we're seeing here is magma movement. You're seeing these VF waves, these vertical lines. We're seeing magma coming through the magma chamber here at Mount Hood. We know there's magma coming in here. We know there's activity. But again, they don't want to show you what is going on. That is a common fallacy here with these agencies. Heaven forbid they show you what's going on. Now, just a few years ago, about 3 years ago, on a Sunday, all of a sudden, there were 135 earthquakes at the base of Mount Hood. 135 earthquakes. These were tremors and minor earthquakes. 135 of them. Scientists put out a yellow warning advisory. A yellow caution warning advisory that Mount Hood might erupt. Well, guess what? Within 24 hours, the number of earthquakes that were happening almost eliminated. They stopped. After that, there might be 50 earthquakes happen. Then 25, then 10, and then 5 earthquakes after that. the activity slowed down and stopped, virtually stopped here at Mount Hood. But scientists for the time on that Sunday thought things were going to go crazy here at Mount Hood. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. They issued a caution advisory warning that it might happen. They told the public, and the public started moving away. But the public's come back. Mount Hood is still getting hit. And scientists still are not talking about it. They're not talking about it. For the most part, all we see here are tremors. Tremors. But you see wavy lines here. That is the VOF wave activity happening here at Mount Hood. Mount Hood, guys. Let me see if I got another one here at Mount Hood. No, I don't. Okay. South of Mount Hood, I'm going to show you some other volcanoes here. The first one I'm going to show you is Bachelor Mountain. No, I can't. Shoot. Let me see if I can bring up the information about Bachelor Volcano here. Just a second here. Bachelor Volcano is over on the southwest. It's on the west central part of Oregon. Bachelor Volcano is on the west central part of Oregon. Hold on a second, I'm going to give you some information here. Last week when we were here, we showed you a lot of activity here at Bachelor Volcano. Guess what? Things have very much calmed down here. They calmed down a lot. Okay. Okay, today. This is a seismogram coming from Mount Bachelor today. Mount Bachelor is another volcano that for several years they wouldn't show us anything going on. That's because I covered it. There was a lot of activity for Bachelor Volcano for several years. Then they stopped showing it. They didn't want us broadcasting it. Then just a few months ago they started showing activity at Mount Bachelor again. Last week we showed activity here at Mount Bachelor. Guess what? Mount Bachelor is moving. There is a lot of magma here happening at Bachelor Volcano, but they're not showing it here. What they are showing are tremors here. Again, you're seeing some thicker lines here near the top of this seismogram. Thicker lines represents magma coming into the volcano. The thinner lines, less magma here. You're also seeing some tremors here as well. We're seeing some tremors, not a lot. But again, there was a lot of activity here last week, a ton of it. And I actually thought maybe, just maybe, that they were ready to show us truth and activity here. Guess what? They're scrubbing the data. They are scrubbing the data. They don't want us to know what's going on. Period. We have to start looking at other seismograms. Because they're not going to show the activity. Let me show you the HHN seismogram. The HHN seismogram is the data collected from the magma coming into the magma chamber. magma coming into the magma chamber here. Let me show you this one. All right. Okay, this is the HHN seismogram. The seismograph here at Bachelor volcano is a 7-channel seismogram, which means we can dial in multiple seismograms from this volcano. Okay, there is magma coming into Mount Bachelor. Look at this seismograph here. We're showing low ride VLF waves. Very low ride VLF waves. Yes, there is magma coming into this volcano, but not a lot. It's not as busy as Mount St. Helens and it's at Mount Rainier. It's light activity. Very light activity. Okay? Let's move down here to, let's see, which one do we want to go to now? Let's drop down to Newberry volcano. Look at this. Newberry volcano, guys, look what's happening. This is a lot of seismic activity at Newberry volcano. Tremors all over the place, and there's actual, just not tremors, but minor earthquakes here as well. You can see it here. We're seeing some 2.0 activity here, 2.0 small or minor earthquakes here. We're also showing tremors here. This volcano is moving. Newberry volcano erupted for a short time about a year ago. There was magma at the top of the volcano crater, but it never went anywhere. It completely solidified and calmed down. But here we're seeing a lot of activity here at Newberry volcano. Let me show you another one here. Let me show you the cinder cone here. The cinder cone I'm going to show you now is also right in that area of Newberry volcano. Very, very close to this other one. Look at this. We're basically seeing the same thing. We're seeing the same thing here, guys. Newberry volcano is moving. Newberry volcano is moving. Okay? It's moving. Folks, they try to hide data. But we have to go and look at other seismographs to find the information. Because again, they're not going to show it to us. They're not going to show it to us. Okay, let me look at another one here. Okay, let me go south central Oregon over to Crater Lake. Crater Lake had 4 seismographs all around, actually 5 seismographs all around the volcano. It's an alpine lake volcano. Throughout the years, water is collected up the walls of the volcano. It's an alpine lake, very cold water. Guess what? That volcano is also active. Look at this. Look at the VLF waves here. Crater Lake is very active. This is Crater Lake bunkhouse seismograph. Crater Lake bunkhouse seismograph here. Look at the VLF waves here. There are minor earthquakes and minor tremors hitting Crater Lake. We're seeing the activity here. Let's go over to the southeast side of Crater Lake. We have another seismograph called Mount Scott here. This is the Mount Scott seismograph. Look what we're seeing here on the seismograph. Tremors. Look at the top of this. Look at the top of this. This is 5 p.m. yesterday afternoon. Tremors here. Tremors here all over the place. Crater Lake is shaking, guys. Crater Lake is shaking. It's not shaking a lot, but it is shaking. Constantly. Constantly. You can see that up at the top. Crater Lake is moving. Crater Lake is moving. I don't think we're going to see an eruption at Crater Lake anytime soon. However, if and when it happens, Crater Lake has a huge alpine lake at the top of it, which means the magma down from below. Let me show you our webcam back here again, so you can see my bright smiley face here. When Crater Lake erupts again, the magma is going to move from up underneath the great big huge volcanic rock that was solidified after the last eruption. Great big huge volcanic rock at the top of the volcano. Above that is water. Above that is water. The caldera floor is keeping the water at the top of the volcano. It's not leaking down inside the volcano at all. Great big huge volcanic rock there. The magma from underneath is going to continue to happen and hit the magma lava rock here at the bottom, hitting it time and time again, hitting it. At some point in time, that rock is going to crack. That rock is going to crack. All this time it's hammering at the bottom of that rock. That rock is going to develop fissures in the rock, and the steam is going to be released from the magma. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. That rock that's holding that magma inside the volcano is getting hammered on. That caldera floor, that piece of lava rock, is getting hammered on. It's developing tiny cracks in the rock. Those tiny cracks release SO2 and CO2 gas from the volcano. That's normal. At some point in time, it's not happening right now, but at some point in time, we're going to see larger and larger cracks in that rock that's holding that water inside the volcano. Okay? It started with groundwater, then it rained, then it snowed. That water has accumulated over hundreds of years. Okay? Right now it's a very deep lake. That magma at some point in time is going to crack that lava rock. It's going to erupt. There's going to be a cataclysmic explosion with that hot magma from underneath and the cold water at the top. It's going to blow. Poof. Poof. Folks, we all are already seeing the activity here. Crater Lake volcano is moving. It's moving. It's going to pop. At some point in time, it's going to pop. Now, I did not, and I was not able to pull any seismographs from Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta has 12 seismographs circling the volcano. When I first started broadcasting about these earthquakes, I was checking Shasta and I was also checking Lassen on a daily basis. I still try. They have basically shut down all the seismographs at Mount Shasta. A week ago I showed you one seismograph here at Mount Shasta. Well, guess what? Today there aren't any. There are no seismographs running. There are probably seismographs still there, but there's none running. There's no seismic activity there at all that we can tell. Now I know that the volcano at Mount Shasta is moving. We know that there are earthquakes here. They're just not showing them. They're not showing them. Let's drop down to Mount Lassen. I know for a fact that Mount Lassen is moving. We've got quite a few seismograms to show you. This one here is called seismogram LME right here. This is a USGS seismogram. It's blue. The ones coming from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, each line is red, blue, green, and black. Each line represents 15 minutes of activity. Here's a little bit different. Each line here also represents 15 minutes of activity. However, let's look at the activity here. We're seeing minor tremors. We're seeing minor earthquakes here at Mount Lassen. Look at all that activity. This is seismograph LME. Seismograph LME. The top of this seismogram here is approximately, let me enlarge it a little bit more. I can't see. This is at 1500 hours at the very top. 3 p.m. at the very top. Look what we're showing you here. Tremors and minor earthquakes here yesterday evening. Well, guess what? It settled down into tremors here. It settled down into nothing more than tremors here. It's moving. Mount Lassen's moving. Now, I have said this before. I'm going to say it again. At some point in time, Mount Lassen is going to erupt. Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, and Mount Lassen are going to erupt. I'm going to show you that information right now. Look what happened early this morning. Look at the activity early this morning. Now we're starting to see more and more tremors after 6 a.m. this morning. What happened here after 7:30? 7:30 this morning on the left-hand side. We work our way to the right. It happens to be at about 7:07, 7:08 p.m. Or excuse me, 7:07, 7:08 a.m. this morning. Okay, first off, the thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the magma chamber, right? We're also seeing a bunch of earthquakes happen here. A bunch of earthquakes happening. In this case, this is a 3.0 earthquake. They cut off the top and the bottom of this sequence. They cut off the top and the bottom of this sequence. This is at least a 3.0 earthquake. 3.0 earthquake here at Mount Lassen. We see many 3.0 earthquakes here. Look at that. Literally all day long. Look what happened after 10 a.m. this morning on that dark blue line here. That almost black dark blue line. That was also 3.0, 3.3 earthquake. That earthquake lasted from 10:05 a.m. until 10:14 a.m. This earthquake, folks, was a lot of seismic activity, huh? From 10:05 to 10:14. Guys, that is 9 minutes. 9 minutes of shaking here. Again, Mount Lassen is getting ready to erupt. For the agency to cut off the top and the bottom of these seismic signatures, They don't want us to see exactly how strong these earthquakes are. Again, people living here in this area are feeling the strength of these earthquakes. They know what's going to happen as well. Mount Lassen at some point in time is going to erupt as well. That's what we're seeing here. I want to keep showing you what's going on here. I believe this is very important. Very, very important here. Incredible. Let me see if I think I have one other seismograph to show you here at Lassen volcano. Yes, this is the next one. This is seismograph LRR. This is on the southern side of Mount Lassen. This, you see, these thicker lines here represent more and more magma coming into this volcano here. Thicker lines, more magma. The thinner lines, less magma here. And you're also seeing the tremors that are happening here. This is seismograph LRR. This is on the southwest side of Mount Lassen. Look at all the tremors happening here. Thicker lines, more magma. Thinner lines, less magma here. When we have less magma, usually we don't have as many volcanoes. That's what we're showing here. Any questions about that? That's Mount Lassen. Again, I don't have any information about Mount Shasta because they have shut down all the seismographs around the mountain. Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen have 11 seismographs all around the mountain. They shut every one of them down on Mount Shasta. Let's go over to East Central California. I don't often show you what's going on over there. We have a volcano there. It's called Mammoth Mountain. Mammoth Volcano. Guess what? Mammoth is moving. Mammoth is moving. This is seismograph MDY. Seismograph MDY. Let me pull down this seismograph to show you what happened yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening. Okay? This is the top of this seismograph. This seismograph started being recorded at 3 p.m. yesterday afternoon. Just tremors here. Tremors here and light magma movement coming into the volcano here. The thinner the lines, the more magma coming into the magma chamber. Remember that. Look what we see here. Look what we see throughout the night into this morning. These are minor tremors here, caused by magma coming into the magma chamber, fracturing rock inside the magma chamber. That's what happens here. Rock fracturing causing these tremors here. This particular seismograph, we're not seeing much more than tremors here, but we're seeing a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber here. That's what we're seeing here at MDY here at Mammoth Mountain. Let me show you another one here. Good old Mammoth. This is magma coming into the magma chamber here at MEM. Seismograph MEM. This is on the northeastern side of the volcano. Look at that. Look at these vertical lines here. None of these vertical lines are having dots in them. That means these vertical lines are all steam coming from Mammoth Mountain. Steam, guys. Again, Mammoth Mountain is steaming. It's a volcano. That's normal. That's normal. Look at this magma here coming from the 3 p.m. position yesterday afternoon. Look at that. Yes, we see some tremors caused by the magma fracturing rock inside the volcano. But more than anything, look at all these steam signals. Steam seems to be thick at Mammoth Mountain. Look at that. Yes, we are also seeing some minor earthquakes as well. No big earthquakes here at Mammoth Mountain yet. But these are all tremors and minor earthquakes. This big earthquake here on the right-hand side, it's not big. It's a relatively minor earthquake. However, it is a 2.5 minor earthquake. 2.5 minor earthquake. This happened just about 10:13 this morning. 10:13 this morning. 2.4, 2.5 earthquake here. Then this afternoon, look at how thick the lines get here. More and more magma came pouring into the volcano early afternoon. Okay? Let me show you another one here. Okay, this is Mammoth over here on the southeast side of Mammoth. This seismograph is MQ1P. Seismograph MQ1P. Look at all this activity. Tremors and minor earthquakes hitting here all over the place. Look at this. These are all tremors here. Then the tremors start out to be minor earthquakes down here. The more activity, the more tremors and minor earthquakes are going to happen, because there's magma fracturing the rock as it comes in to the volcano, causing those earthquakes. Look at that. This is a lot of activity happening here at Mammoth Mountain. We haven't been talking about Mammoth very much, but we're going to now. We're going to. This is a lot of activity here at Mammoth Mountain. There's another volcano out east of Mammoth Mountain. Some of you know what we're talking about. It's called Long Valley Volcano. Guess what? Long Valley Volcano is an active volcano. Right here. This is seismograph MDR. Here you see thicker lines here. Thicker lines means more magma coming into the magma chamber here. We're also seeing some tremors. As the magma comes into this volcano, it's fracturing rock inside the magma chamber here. You're seeing that fracturing going on. Then there's less and less magma. And as a result, we don't see half as many tremors here. And as the morning goes on here, we go from night into morning, we see more activity here. Thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the magma chamber here. We're also seeing some tremors here as well. Look at that. This is what is going on at Long Valley Volcano, just east of Mammoth. Let me show you one more seismograph here from Long Valley. This seismograph MLH. Seismograph MLH. Look what we're seeing here. We're seeing tremors and we're seeing full-blown earthquakes. 2.0, 2.5, 2.7, and 3.0 earthquakes here. That's what's going on. Long Valley Volcano here is a very active volcano. Very active volcano. Yes, this is over in California, East Central California. However, out east of here is Nevada. Yes, there are volcanoes over in Nevada, small and larger cones and craters. Guess what? Each and every volcano is moving. Each and every volcano is going to have signs of eruption. Now, it's not going to probably erupt, but there's signs of it. There are signs of earthquakes happening. Magma moving. Look at these red lines here on this seismograph. These red lines represent the computer. The computer put those red lines up to get the attention of the seismologist. Hey, wait a minute. Look at this, seismologist. Look at this. Yes, we are seeing 2.5, 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes here at Long Valley. That's what we're seeing here. We're also seeing some 3.0 earthquakes here as well. That's what's going on here. We're also seeing steam signatures. These vertical lines without dots in the middle of them are steam signatures. Long Valley volcano is steaming. It's steaming. It's not erupting, but it's steaming. And yes, you can see the tremors and you can see the minor earthquakes happening here at Long Valley. Look at these earthquakes this afternoon. Actually, it's not. It's early this morning. Just about 8:06 this morning. A 3.0 earthquake here. Just about a minute later, another 3-pointer here. These are small earthquakes. Small earthquakes here. Then look what happens after 12 noon over here near the bottom. We're having minor earthquakes and we're also having 3.0 earthquakes here. Over on the right-hand side, you don't see a big red line going through it, but over on the right-hand side on the dark blue line, that is another 3.0 earthquake. Down on the second to the bottom line. Okay? This is 2. This is 2:14 p.m. 2:14 p.m. we have another 2.9 3.0 earthquake. We move over to the right-hand side, and this is at 2:27 p.m. Another 2.3, 2.4 earthquake. Long Valley volcano. Now this is probably the first time we've seen small 3.0, 3.9 earthquakes here at Long Valley. It's the first time. We've seen them occasionally at Mammoth Mountain, but not at Long Valley. Long Valley volcano is getting larger and larger when it comes to earthquakes. Long Valley volcano could erupt. It could. Do I think it's going to erupt anytime soon? It's possible. It is possible. But I want to show you this information because we don't often share it. But this is happening. This is East Central California. The ground is moving. It's moving. Are we ready for what's going to happen, guys? I'm asking each and every one of you, are we ready for what is going on? Because it's going to happen whether we are ready or not. It's going to happen whether we are ready or not. Do we have any questions from anybody here? Richard Smith says stuff is also starting to hit the wind generation device systems. You're right. It is. Are we even ready for what's going to happen here? Are we ready? Don Patoka says, yepper. I believe Don is ready. Carol and I are ready. Several others of you are ready. But folks, guess what? Things are happening. Veronica Lynn is here in the chat. She's saying now they're saying 10,000 people dead in Myanmar. Not quite yet. But USGS is already saying that there could be a death toll as high as 10,000 people dead. Yes, that is unfathomable. We've never seen it happen before. When we had a 10.0 earthquake over in the Turkey-Syria border region 2 years ago, February 3rd, 2 years ago, that was a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. We had over 5,000 people killed and over 5,000 people injured. Already, we're seeing numbers of 2,000 plus dead. We're seeing 1,700 people injured. Yet, they have not even begun to get under the rubble and pull people out. They just started. Folks, we are going to see more and more people showing up dead and injured from that earthquake in Myanmar and Thailand. It's going to happen. They want to try to tell us it was only a 7.7 earthquake. It was not. It was a much stronger earthquake than that. As I told you the other day, that earthquake was an 8.7, 9.0 earthquake. And yet they were trying to tell us it was a 7.7. It was not. It was much larger. We would not be seeing 10,000 people dead if it wasn't a much larger earthquake. Again, I want to say this again. I'm going to say it again and again. Folks, the United States Geological Survey is never going to tell us the truth. They are never going to tell us the absolute truth. I continue to show you evidence of this every time we come on the air. They will never, ever tell us the truth at all. They're not going to. They have no intention of telling us the truth of what's going to happen. Don Patoga just said here in the chat, nothing better than listening to a lie when you already know the truth. George Orwell said that. It's unreal. This is happening. This is why I keep talking about our Savior Jesus Christ. He's not going to lie to us. He's telling us the truth of what's happening. And he's telling us how we can make sure that we are getting good information. We can pray about it. Folks, I'm going over here to 1 Corinthians chapter 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 10. It says, we are fools for Christ's sake, but ye are wise in Christ. Ye are weak, but ye are strong. Ye are honorable, but we are despised. Even under this present hour, we both hunger and thirst, and are naked, and are buffeted, and have no certain dwelling place. We're laboring, working with our own hands, being reviled. We're being blessed. We're also being persecuted. We suffer it. That is here in the Scriptures, brothers and sisters, here in the Scriptures. Folks, I'm trying to be honest with you. Stay close to the Lord. If you want to find any comfort from anything that's going to happen, including the politics of our countries, we need to stay close to the Scriptures. The Scriptures here contain truth from Jesus Christ, truth from our Heavenly Father. Okay? Miriam says liars aren't worth the truth. The agency's going to lie to us. We know that for a fact. Politicians are also going to lie to us. We've seen that happen as well. Now, before I wanted to start this devotional, I should have told you this. Over in England, every nation has its problems. Every nation under the sun has its problems. Guess what is happening in England today? We have a garbage strike in England. Huge garbage strike in England. What do you think's happening? Do you guys have any idea what is happening over there? Guess what? It's crazy. This is almost insane. There are rats. There are rats as big as cats running around. Rats as big as cats running around. Unreal. Unreal. They're running around because they can't get any garbage handlers to remove trash off the ground outside people's homes and apartments. And even outside of businesses. Rats as big as cats running around out there. The politicians are not doing anything about it. The fathers of those cities and townships aren't doing anything to solve the problem because there's a garbage strike. The city fathers could do something about it, but they're not. The citizens themselves want to hire private contractors to go in and remove the trash, thus eliminating the rat problem. Guess what? Just outside of Lancashire, Demon Catman lives in east of England. Just outside of Lancashire, England, there's a huge fire at a complex, at a commercial complex. Huge fire. Over 8 fire companies are there, with fire trucks and ladder companies pouring water onto the fire. The folks there, the constabulary, the law enforcement, and fire department are telling the people to stay in the homes, sheltering in place, shutting up their homes against the smoke, so people won't have the smoke in their homes. They're not asked, I read this earlier this afternoon, they have not asked anybody to evacuate right now, but shelter in place, stay in your homes, and wear masks as well, to keep from inhaling the dust and smoke into your lungs. Okay? That's what's going on. Incredible. Unreal. Demon Catman said we have an email showing the protesters out there. Demon Catman says that was in Lincolnshire. They showed me Lancashire. So it's Lincolnshire. Lincolnshire. Okay, cool. Demon Catman, let me go over to my email here and see if I can pull this up. Wait till you see these protesters, guys. This is incredible. This is incredible. I forgot all about these protesters. I appreciate Demon Catman reminding me about it. There we go. There they are. Protesting outside there. Actually, these are not. These are protesters, yes, but these are marmots protesting here at Glacier Peak. Privacy, not seismographs. No, not yet. No, not yet. Yes, USBS. No, not yes, USBS. Leave nature in peace. Marmot writes, no seismographs on our patch. Glacier Peak is not owned by humans. This is unreal, Demon Catman. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Appreciate that so much. Now, folks, again, I want to thank everyone who's helped promote this program tonight. I want to thank the person that gave us a $50 super chat. God bless you for that. God bless all of you that have helped donate to this program, whether it's being here in the super chat or over on our Venmo or PayPal locations. We appreciate that ever so much. Those of you that have sent us cards and letters and will send us cards and letters to our email here, or not to our email, but to our postal mail. We appreciate that as well. God bless you for that. God bless you. But again, we go back to 1 Corinthians here. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 10. We are fools for Christ's sake, but we are wise in Christ. We are weak, but we are strong. You are honorable, but we are despised. Even unto this present hour, we both hunger and thirst, and are naked and are buffeted, and have no certain dwelling place, and labor working with our hands, being reviled, but we are blessed. When persecuted, we suffer it. Unreal. Unreal. That's what happens. Folks, we can receive comfort from the Scriptures. The Lord Himself brings us comfort. The Lord Himself also brings us peace through the Scriptures. Remember that. The Lord Himself will bring us peace through the Scriptures. Read your Scriptures. Pray to God. God and Jesus Christ, His Son, hear and answer our prayers. I promise you that. They hear and answer our prayers. Folks, I ask the Lord to bless you now. I thank you all for being here. Please share this program far and wide. Share with your friends, your family, your neighbors. Share with your extended family. Share with the people you are working with. Share to the people you are in social media with as well. Share far and wide. Everybody needs to show or see what we show you tonight. It's important. Lives hang in the balance when these volcanoes move. Everybody needs to know that. We love you very much, guys. We love you very much. God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Take care, everybody. Much love. See you soon. God bless.